breaking ball, helping news we got to talk about before this video begins because it just came out right as I was finishing up. But this could be a sneaky good move for the Eagles. I mean, when you look at it in terms of it's November, who are you going to go out and get? This could be sneaky good. The Eagles claim defensive end Charles Harris off of waivers of the Carolina Panthers. Why did he get released? I don't know. They also signed defensive end KJ Henry, released some guys, and put Brandon Graham on IR. But this one with Charles Harris is interesting. Brendan Deeg said this. The Eagles claimed Charles Harris today. His stats on 191 pass rush snaps this season. 3 sacks, tied for best on the Panthers, 22 pressures, second on the Panthers, and 11.5 pressure rate, best on the Panthers. And like I said, it's not bad for the time of year that you're talking about. Yes, the Panthers stink. There's no question about it. But this could be a sneaky good signing. We know, and he's a former first-round pick. He was a first-round pick in 2017. And we know that Vic Fangio has taken guys and used their talents, very well. Maybe he sees a guy that he can utilize almost like he utilized Zach Baun. I don't know. But I think this is a very interesting signing. And I don't think it means the Eagles are done yet. But I think it's a great pickup off of waivers this time of year for the Eagles. Let's see if it has an impact. Now, to this video. This ain't the Cowboys. This isn't the Giants. The Eagles with Howie Roseman, are hard at work trying to figure out how and what to do to replace Brandon Graham. Could Howie Roseman right now possibly be talking to Shaq Barrett about coming out of retirement? Dallas still stinks. By the way, Dingbat here. The Eagles are 9-2, and the fact of the matter is this: with Thanksgiving coming and going, the Eagles season is really about to start because they say it's usually after Thanksgiving when the cream rises to the top, and this Eagles team is on the verge of possibly being a number 1 seed in the NFC, and they all deserve credit. The players, the coaches, all of them. But they got a huge game this week, and they got to figure out what are they going to do now that Brandon Graham is out. That's going to be the question. Now, before we get into it, a few things. I don't know if you guys saw WIP today or heard. Brandon Graham started getting emotional, crying about where he is, man. God, he really is the perfect player for the Eagles. He's the perfect type of player you want on your team. Somebody that cares, somebody that brings energy, somebody that, makes big plays when it matters most. I truly hope Brandon Graham comes back one more year. I do. I don't want to see him go out the way he did. Hell, I wanted Jason Kelce to come back one more year because of the way things ended last year. But thoughts and prayers definitely to Brandon Graham. I know he'll be okay, and I know he'll be back better than ever, and I hope and think, I feel like he's going to come back one more year, but we'll see. Now, the Eagles did make a move last night, when I was streaming the Monday night game. Mike Garofalo wrote this: the Pound Eagles are expected to sign defensive end KJ Henry to their practice squad. Sources say a 5th-round pick of the Commanders last year. Henry was let go by Dallas the other day and cleared waivers today. Philly adding depth on the edge after losing Brandon Graham for the season. Now, this isn't going to help you in terms of he's going to come in and all of a sudden he's going to start to produce. I don't know, maybe, I don't think so. Unless Vic Fangio sees something that we didn't see or nobody else saw, like Zach Baun, but that's probably not going to happen. He's a body. He's a guy for the practice squad. They'll probably bring up Teron Jackson, I would assume. And it is what it is. And the Eagles, look, they've got a giant hole to fill when it comes to that pass rusher situation. They do. And the question is what are they going to do? I think the most likely scenario is that the Eagles take the players that they have and they try to use them in certain ways. Maybe they run a little more five-man fronts. Maybe they blitz a little more. Maybe at times they put Bond at the edge, let him rush. They're going to have to tweak and get a feel for what to do. But the truth of it is I don't know that there are many players that you can go out and get that are going to greatly impact enough the way Brandon Graham impacted the game for you. I just don't see it happening. So they're going to have to figure out who they could use in certain situations that would help. And Nolan Smith's going to have to pick his game up. And when Bryce Huff comes back, he's going to have to find his damn game. Like, find it, dude. Seriously, find it. But it's going to be interesting. Now, there is one interesting possible scenario emerging. And one possible scenario we got to look and think about and see what happens. Because it's very interesting timing. But Adam Schefter wrote this. Former Pro Bowl linebacker Shaq Barrett, who announced his retirement from the NFL in July, has applied to be reinstated to play immediately. Per his agent Drew Rosenhaus, Robert Bailey, Barrett is coming out of retirement. The Dolphins hold his contract rights. So the Dolphins hold his rights. And the question is this. Would the Dolphins be willing to just release him and let him go on his way? I know you can't do trades anymore. So would it be too late for the Eagles to give them some sort of compensation or something like that? I don't know. But what I do know is that him coming out right now is the perfect time for the Eagles, isn't it? I mean, it's the perfect time. Is it possible that Howie Roseman, calculating the calculations of the cornbread, got on the phone and talked him into coming out of retirement to play for the Eagles to possibly go on a run? Could that be possible? I don't know. Now he was on NFL Good Day Morning or whatever the hell they call it, and they did talk about coming out of retirement, and he said there was one team he would come out of retirement for, and that was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Remember, he tragically lost his child, which was horrible. And he said the Bucs, the support and stuff he got was overwhelming. So I think he feels, some sort of duty to the Buccaneers. Now, guys do change their mind. They do retire. They say, "Oh, I'll just play for one team," and then they do. Maybe they got a call from Howie. He said, "Look, we got a chance at the Super Bowl. We got a really good team here. We'd like you to join it. Come out of retirement, and, we'll talk to the Miami Dolphins and see what we could do, if they could even do anything." Maybe he's just going to go play for Miami. I don't know. But I think if, for some reason, the Eagles could get Shaq Barrett, I think he could be a good replacement. He's not going to be perfect, but I think he's still productive enough. He had 4.5 sacks last year, so he still could get you maybe 4 or 5 sacks. And look, I think that's okay as a depth piece. He's a veteran. If he could help in the rotation, I think he'd do it. Would this surprise me if it happened? No. Do I expect it to happen? No. I think at the end of the day, we're going to have to rely on other guys on this team picking up the slack, and they're probably going to manipulate certain moves here. Maybe, like I said, put Bond at the edge rusher. Try maybe put Milt Williams at times on the outside. Like, they're going to have to try different things and figure it out, and I think they will. One thing I will say is this. A lot of people have acted like, well, if this team doesn't go out and get anybody, or this defense is now, because Brandon Graham is gone, they're done. They're done. It's over. No, this is a good defense. This is a very, very good defense. This defense showed me a lot on Sunday night. You know what? I got to tell you, yes, the Rams, they're not the best team in the world. We know it, but they've got a great passing game. And I thought Cooper Dejean, I thought Quinyon Mitchell, I thought they played fantastic. The Rams hadn't given up very many sacks going into that game, I thought the defensive line was really good. Of course, Brandon Graham had the best game I've seen him play in years, in probably 2 years. However, I thought that Cooper Dejean and Quinyon Mitchell passed the test. And now, right now in the league, you see this. Highest graded corners. Shout out to Word on the Birds. He posted this. Highest graded corners this season. 1, Patrick Surtain. 2, Marlon Humphrey. Who's texting me? And 3, Cooper Dejean. So Dejean's the 3rd highest graded corner this season. The guy's given up under 150 yards, I believe, on the year. And he was fantastic last week. He had great coverage on Nakua. He had great coverage on Cup. And I thought he passed the test with flying colors. And a lot of people have kind of been down on Mitchell just a tiny bit. Just a few people who, I don't know what they're thinking, but are like, oh, well, he gave up a touchdown and stuff. Yeah, but he gave up a touchdown in garbage time. Sidney Brown was in, the safeties were pulled, the linebackers were pulled. I don't hold Quinyon Mitchell responsible at all. I thought Quinyon Mitchell, once again, passed his test with flying colors. They both did. And this defense is legit. It is real, and it's not going to change because Brandon Graham went out. And Brandon Graham is a big part of it. He brings a lot of energy. I hope he stays on the sideline, during games with this team. But Brandon Graham, it's a big loss. It is. And I don't want to, minimize it. But I think this team is more than just Brandon Graham. I think they got a lot of legit players on this defense that can play. Okay, this is the best linebacking core I've seen. Better than 2017. I'm telling you that right now. It's been a long, long time. I don't even know what year I would say. I think the secondary is as good as I've seen since the early 2000s. And the defensive tackle, the interior of the line, I think is really, really good. I mean, Jalen Carter's held like every play, but they don't call it. Eventually, he's going to start getting those calls. But I think the interior of the defensive line is tremendous, and I think the spot, which is a spot we usually are really good at, the edge rusher is a spot that we're going to have to fill and fix in the future. But this defense is good, and this defense is why I think the Eagles can beat. This is why I think they can beat the Detroit Lions, because this defense is good. And the Eagles, they got a huge matchup this week, right? The Lions play on Thanksgiving. They play the Bears. Go Bears, okay? However, the Eagles, they got to win. They got a huge game versus the Ravens, and the Ravens are going to be tough to beat. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a very interesting game. The best 2 running backs in the league right now, and I'll say this before we talk about Barkley. I feel like that because Barkley was so dominating in that game versus the Rams, everybody's talking about him. But man, the defense really did a good job, and I think that we got to give defense their due. I mean, they played fantastic against the Rams, and they gave up 2 touchdowns basically in the game when it mattered. The last one was like I said, in garbage time. But those 2 touchdowns came off big penalties. So to me, I thought this defense was really, really good. And of course, Barkley's getting all the love, and he should. He's right now the MVP of this league. There is no doubt about it. Barkley is the MVP of this league. And here's an interesting statistic they showed. Saquon Barkley versus Adrian Peterson through 12 weeks. This is the year Peterson won MVP. Peterson, through 12 weeks in 2012, had 1,236 rushing yards. Saquon Barkley, 1,392. Receiving yards, Adrian Peterson, 185. Saquon Barkley, 257. Total touchdowns, Barkley, 12. Adrian Peterson, 7. Record, 9-2. Minnesota, 6-5. Saquon Barkley is the MVP of the league right now. And here's why I think if he gets 2,000 yards, I think he's going to win it, because there's been so much talk over the last few years that the running back position was basically dead. It wasn't the same. It wasn't as important as it used to be. And now this year, we're seeing a resurgence of the running back. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. And I think that getting 2,000 yards this year, I think it would clinch MVP for Saquon Barkley. But it's going to be a tough matchup, a good matchup versus the Ravens. And the Eagles have to stay with the Lions. They do. Because if they get home field advantage, I think it's huge for them. And that's what we're playing right now. They got a big commanding lead in the division. And yeah, I expect this team to go into Baltimore and win. And it should be a very interesting game. But we're going to see a lot of things going on. What does Howie Roseman have up his sleeve? That's the giant question. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. And remember, it's Howie Vision, baby, and Saquon Vision. We're all just living in it. That's all, folks.